My nephew leaned over my kid and said, "You're not really one of us. Grandma said so." Everyone chuckled while my son stared at his plate. I took his hand and walked out. 3 days later, I had recordings proving who taught him. That night, my mom texted, like nothing happened. "Did you send the Christmas money?" I wrote back, "You won't get a penny from me. I was done paying to watch my child get treated like a visitor." This started when my sister moved to Texas and left her son with my parents for a year. 1 year became 2. My mom treated him like her project. Advanced classes, trophies, constant praise. She called him gifted, like it excused the attitude. My son is quiet and creative. He builds cardboard cities and sketches little films. Once he made a sock puppet movie that had me laughing. My mom watched 10 seconds and said, maybe he should focus more on schoolwork. He was 6. At brunch, my nephew bragged about a math award. My mom nodded like he'd cured cancer. My son handed her a Christmas drawing he'd worked on all night. She glanced, set it down, and turned back to my nephew. Then he tossed out that line about us not being one of them, and my mom laughed. I left the food on the table. I left my purse by the chair. I just walked my kid to the car and drove. The next morning, my mom called, then left a voicemail of excuses. She said, "He didn't mean it. Kids repeat things, and your son is sensitive. No apology." So I stopped answering. That night, I canceled the help I'd been sending my parents for years. 2 days later, my dad called, voice low. That didn't sit right with me. He asked if we were coming Christmas Eve. I said no. He didn't push. My sister called to ask why. I told her exactly what her kid said. She went quiet and admitted she'd been correcting him for months. Family rank. Better people. Stuff a 9-year-old shouldn't even be thinking. 3 days before Christmas, my sister showed up at my door with a suitcase. My nephew shuffled in behind her, clutching his game console like a shield. She didn't go to mom's first. She came to me. In my kitchen, she pulled out her phone and hit play. My mom's voice filled the room, warm and poisonous, telling my nephew he was special, saying some people were temporary, saying my son wasn't part of the core family. My sister swallowed hard. I felt the last excuse die. Out in the living room, the boys sat on the floor. My nephew didn't swagger. He whispered, "I hate being the best all the time. When I lose, Grandma gets quiet." My son slid him a marker. They started drawing like kids again. My mom melted down when my sister canceled a grandma-grandson trip she'd booked without asking. Calls, texts, guilt. Then my dad showed up with an envelope. A check for living room furniture, like a bribe. "She thinks you'll come around," he said. I asked, "Did she apologize?" He couldn't answer. My sister told him about the recordings. My dad stared at the floor and admitted my mom had been feeding that nonsense for years. Then he added something worse. She told my nephew my sister's husband might leave her and find someone more compatible. Just planting fear in a kid. Christmas morning, the family group chat exploded. My mom typed paragraphs about sacrifice and disrespect. Then she ended with, "Remember who's paid for everything up until now." Then my dad finally spoke up. One line popped up on the screen: "You paid for control, not love." Next, his name disappeared from the chat. After that, the chat went dead silent. My sister stared at her phone like it burned. I just sipped my coffee and breathed. After that, my mom mailed me a 3-page letter. She called my son a guest. She said he should apologize to my nephew for embarrassing him by leaving brunch. She hinted she could step in if I ever got overwhelmed. I folded the letter and tossed it in the trash. A week later, she dumped cookies on my porch and yelled that I was hurting myself. No note, no apology. I left them outside. A month later, my dad called and said, I left. He told me my mom said again that my son would never measure up, right in front of my nephew. This time, my nephew looked embarrassed. Not proud. Embarrassed. That's what finally broke my dad. Now my house is quiet in a good way. The boys build a cardboard city across my living room and argue about roads, not who matters. My nephew asked to call grandpa and plan a spring fishing trip. No grandma, no rankings, just them. So tell me, am I wrong for cutting my mom off? What would you do?